about this project?
It was going to be an endeavor.
Go be heavy.
It's all, you know, every step of the way.
Yeah, so the piece weight average, because I think Purpleheart is 5.4 pounds per board foot.
Right.
12 by 12 by 1, 5 pounds, right? So each one averaged about 100 pounds. And one of the good things about doing a butcher block top is that we don't have to face joint anything. These pieces range from 8 inches to 14 inches wide.
Right.
So on our 6-inch joiner,
It's tough.
you're not face jointing anything.
It's a little tough.
You know,
So.
that's actually one of the reasons we stick to butcher block,
Yeah.
and we like producing butcher block because we don't have to face joint,
Yep.
and we can ensure a really like straight, flat product. Each piece took 4 passes.
Yeah.
We had to do 4,400-pound holds
Yep.
each, and then the jointing. So I couldn't even, if I didn't hold it right, I was hitting that rack back there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So part of joining as a team, right, is I'm holding the balance in the back and like trying to help with keeping it up at the thing.
Yep.
You're making sure that tip stays in that corner.
Yeah, I have no control over, at the beginning, I have no control over the flatness of it. I just have to hold it there and hopefully like it stays in that groove.
Right.
You know. But by the time I'm halfway through, now I have full control, and then
Yeah, it switches.
the roles change.
Right. And being on an unlevel surface, right, Tyler and I both have to mitigate for that. So as we're going up this slope,
Yep.
Tyler is dropping
Yep.
2 ways,
Yep.
right? And I'm raising
Yeah.
2 ways. While taking steps, I'm on the end of the board over here, and it comes up for you too, right?
yeah.
It's like just a little movement back here
Yep.
makes a drastic
Oh, yeah.
movement up in the front.
No cut.
Yeah.
Every board we had to go back and hit the back because
Like-
I would drop it.
Look at our power poses. Sometimes, like, I can only imagine, you know, because like you just dropped it, right? So obviously we're gassing, and I'm just like, hold a second, let me just check this, and I twist it on you. You know what I'm saying?
Look at that, another run.
Might as well just
Gotta do another run.
yeah, because if even sometimes on the joiner you can't correct it by just going back. You just have to run it again.
Right. Man, was that some heavy ass work, dude.
Because of the weight,
Another drop right there.
take it back. So because of the weight, because of the length, the heat of the environment, and really how stale it fucking was,
Yeah.
planing took us 1 day.
Mm-hmm.
Jointing, we were like, whew, good.
Yeah.
You know, because I actually remember after joining, our arms were gassed.
Yeah. Like, just that you saw me tilt my head, my shoulders are fucking dead after jointing, dude. Because, like, there's so much, like, you just have to hold your position, and it's all in the shoulders and joint.
Yeah, and it's not even just about the 100 pounds, right? It's about the 100 pounds and
An awkward fucking...
keeping it level. It's all those fine motor skills. And so when people say it'd take 2 days
Yeah.
for someone to do this, I'm over here like, what?
Ow.
2 days?
What giant is gonna bust this out in 2 days?
Yeah, and what person can build this on their own? We got a serious workout in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We got stronger.
Oh yeah, we got stronger.
Dude, my ass got stronger with that. You know, like, so much holding and shit. Like, tense. Yeah, dude.
So then comes the table sawn. In our old shop, we were just so limited.
We maximized the space for sure. It was pushed to the edge of like functionality with what we had. Like all the like the racks, the way the tools were set up, like it was just barely enough clearance.
Right.
You know, like
We were actually kind of lucky that Purpleheart didn't pinch that much.
yeah,
If
it,
this
it
would've-
wasn't bad for sure.
Right, if this would have been like white oak or something that, or red oak that like
Yeah.
always pinches for
Yep.
some reason. Oh,
Still took forever to cut. Look at this. You know?
yeah, we couldn't push it fast
Yeah.
because it definitely slowed the blade down.
Yeah.
God, look at all that Purpleheart dust. Yeah, apparently Purpleheart dust is like one of the most toxic.
Yeah.
It,
Fairly certain I'm not wearing a mask.
nope. I feel like you were holding your breath sometimes.
Oh, I hold my breath a lot.
Oh yeah, and then the glue up. The glue up was actually the best part because it was easy.
Yeah. Glue up's always the best part.
During the glue up, right, we don't spread our glue. We just pour out the glue, put it in, right, and then after all of the pieces are lined up, we use hammers, and in this case, we actually stood on it.
Because Purpleheart's hard to bend, you know.
It's hard to bend. And basically, as long as you get all the pieces as lined up as possible, you're pretty good.
Yeah.
You're pretty well off. And so here I am, standing on the boards to help give it a little more leverage, while Tyler, look at these beats. Double-handed beats.
Yeah, like as hard as you can, pretty much. By the end of this 3 days of my arms being really tired.
Right.
Honestly, that was like probably the smoothest glue up, you know, of like this caliber of a table we've ever done. You know, like it came out good.
Oh, and then those people saying like anyone can make this in a couple days. It's like,
do you have a glue up rack? You know,
you have a 12-foot glue up
do you
rack.
have the 12-foot glue up rack?
Because if you have maybe you can get away with it, the 8-foot.
Yeah, maybe.
But the 6-foot, no.
And like honestly, the clamps on the JLT is substantially better than any clamp you can purchase.
And honestly, you
Never worry
might
about
break the bar clamps.
Oh, for sure. I know I've broken 6 bar clamps, and those are the Milwaukee ones, just by over tightening them. You know?
Yeah. People may think that when we're standing and whacking these with a hammer, we're damaging our clamps. But JLT makes these clamps so good that even after something like this
has been years of us using it like this.
We actually glued the top up in 4 pieces. We were gonna do 52 inches, so each piece was 14 inches wide or so, I think a little bit over that. And they were actually 13-foot long still at this point. Started out as 13, and we ended up making a 12-foot table.
Which is also great if you get snipe.
And we got snipe.
Yeah, we got snipe off of these, so the extra foot really came in handy for us to cut it down to make 12 foot.
And then in our old shop, when we have a project like this going on, what other projects can we work on?
Nothing. This took up the entire shop. We couldn't do anything besides one job at a time.
Right.
And maybe some storage on the rack. You know?
Or we just have shit all in the way.
Stacked up. Yeah, like just stacked up, multiple jobs.
It's like a game of Rush in that shop. You know, like if we wanted to start doing this one thing, we have to like move this over here, move that over here. Oh crap, it's in the way. Move it back over here.
Hope you don't cover something up that you're gonna need later.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you see these glue ups, right, and you see all that glue, people always talk about keeping your glue ups clean and like spreading your glue and using just the right amount of glue. But from our experience as, I would say at this point, professional table makers, you don't have to spread your glue. Whenever I see squeeze out on the top, I know we did a good job.
Right.
You know, like I know it was clamped right, I know we used enough glue. It's like a safety measure.
Right. And then we're just gonna plane it off anyways.
Right. And there's a couple key things when you're gonna be planing glued up boards like this, because there's gonna be a bunch of glue on both sides. One of the key things is you want to keep your planer lubricated.
We just use regular butcher block oil. Flip them upside down so the drips are up facing the blades.
Right. One thing we noticed too is that whenever we glue up like this, every time boards have a tendency to warp during the glue up. And it's just a little bit. So if you cut those glue drips off first, it's going to be significantly easier. Whereas if you put them on the bottom first and you cut the top,
it'll have a tendency to rock.
Right.
Like you'll cut one side higher than the other.
Exactly.
Or it'll even be twisted depending on how the glue dripped.
Right. And those glue drips will catch on the end of the planer. Plane the glue drips first and then do the squeeze out
off
after.
the top side.
And no matter what it looks like, you need to go back and forth.
Yeah, 100%. Like you always want to keep your cuts even. I didn't follow that when I was starting out and definitely got some warped boards.
Yeah, right. If you don't go back and forth and you cut more on one side than the other,
it'll pull to the less cut side.
We planed the rough boards, that took a day. We jointed those same boards, that took another day. Table sawed the jointed boards and made all of the strips, that took another day. Then we glued up all of those strips for another day.
4 panels.
In 4 panels, planed all 4 of those pieces back and front until they were clean. And then after that, guess what we have to do again? We gotta joint again, right? So, however, the one thing that is true is...
Look at that drop.
Right.
Again.
The one thing that is true is that after you planed them at this stage, the boards are a lot straighter.
Yeah, way easier to work with. They don't roll.
Right, like on regular orders, when we get to this stage, we're actually like, yeah, sick.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But with this Purpleheart table, we were dreading this weight. You know, so this right here, that was another day. We said, whoo.
Yeah.
So after we joint those, now it's back to table sawing again. So there's 2 planing sessions, 2 joining sessions, 2 table saw sessions,
Yep.
2 glue up sessions,
Yep.
right? To make a top that big. Because when you don't have a planer that's 52 inches, you know, you don't have a planer big enough for your whole table, you run all those pieces and then glue them up again. Right, this is actually one of the first ones that we started using a domino.
Yep. I think we did like 4-inch dominoes in these, somewhere around there, with the wiggle room. So like it's side to side wiggle.
Right, and the domino really makes a huge difference at lining up your glue ups.
Yep.
It makes that top seam.
It holds it level, unlike any other.
Yeah, biscuits don't do it.
Don't do it.
Dude, we had to put like biscuits every 2 inches for it to be the same kind of work.
Right, and it's not even close to the same kind of work.
Right, and at this glue up stage, we glue the dominoes in the hole, and then we also spread glue just like last time. But we don't spread it. We just put a shitload of glue on there because our squeeze out is going to make sure it's good.
And this one's a fun one because it's the entire clamp capacity, plus we have another 2 inches we have to get in there. That's exceeding the limit of the clamp, so you have to lift it up. But you'll see that.
And then we're like, oh, this last piece.
This is going to be fun. So we, I believe we put some blocks underneath it.
Yeah, we put some blocks and it wasn't enough. So we put more blocks, it wasn't enough. You know, we had to lift it up at least 8 inches.
Yeah.
Fitting a 52-inch glue up and 52-inch clamps with dominoes is tough.
It's a challenge.
Especially when you have to lift up this 500-pound freaking piece of wood right there.
Yeah.
And the good thing is those dominoes, they're pretty strong. Like we bent the heck out of that joint.
Yep.
But as soon as we clicked it in, it
It's
fell
locked
right
in. Yeah, look at that.
What was I doing?
So it's caught on a clamp right here. There's just one clamp that the backside is caught on, so it's holding the entire table up.
They're like, come on.
Yeah, dude. So there's nothing I can do now. I have to hit it off of it. Watch, it'll fall in. I think there's 2. 3. But it should fall in whenever. Oh, there it is. There it is. Yep.
And one thing that the dominoes do is that when you line it up, it's actually making a true 90, right? Whereas our jointing and our table sawing wasn't a true 90 because the piece was doing that.
Yeah,
so
long pieces tend to do that for sure. Like it's just hard to mitigate it from the small table that you're working on. You know?
So we still had seams that wouldn't close because they were just jointed differently.
Yeah, and with Purpleheart, it ain't bending.
Nah, the Purpleheart ain't bending.
There.
We had 8 clamps, and each one of those clamps has thousands of pounds of force, and we still weren't able to close all the seams.
Yep.
But because there was dominoes in it, no problem. Those kind of seams you just fill with CA glue, and you're good to go. While that whole table was there, because we really couldn't do anything else.
Couldn't do anything.
Started on the base. And so for the base, we actually used, 24 feet of zebrawood, and I think half of the pieces were like 14 inches wide and half of them were 8 inches wide. We didn't make hollow legs for the base.
Yeah.
We made solid legs for the base. And people usually make hollow legs because it's supposed to be more stable.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we did is we laminated 3 pieces of 8-quarter together. So that basically made an LVL, which was very stable in itself.
Right.
I was ripping all of them to the probably 6.5-inch mark.
And what a lot of people don't know, zebrawood smells like zebra crap.
That's where it's got its name from. When we glue up real wide pieces like that, we make sure to spread the glue because it's not always consistent that it will squeeze to every part.
I mean, like you said, this is like a 6.5-inch board. Like, there's no way we're gonna get that amount of force. I think our clamps are only like 3.5-inch, 4 inches tall. So you have to spread it at that point.
Oh yeah, I used extra glue.
Yeah, look at that drip. Typone should be proud.
Yeah, it's 3 pieces at a time. So it's board down, glue, board down, glue, board down.
Yep. Purpleheart, zebrawood, Purpleheart. Leave that face, no glue. Purpleheart, zebrawood, Purpleheart.
At 6x6 roughly, that's 32 feet of 6x6 exotic wood.
Yep.
And the zebrawood stripe in the middle, I think, really made it a lot better.
Yeah, I agree. It brought it in with the shelf, you know.
And if it was just Purpleheart legs, it wouldn't have popped as much.
No.
So the next stage, just like the big glue ups, after we glue up these legs, you got to S4S them again.
Yep.
Right? So
now they're big blocks.
Now they're just huge blocks. But in this case, because they were in the 6-inch range, we scraped the glue off and we joined them first.
Yep.
Right? Threw them through the joiner because you want the legs to be as straight as possible. Those are the things that people can line up with their eyes, and they're gonna see if they're crooked or warped or anything like that. So what we do in this case is we joint 2 sides, right? We joint to 2 sides first, and then we plane the other sides to make them a perfect, square. I think they ended up at like 5 3/4 by 5 3/4 or something. One thing that we had going for us is one of our buddies gave us a 6x6 chop saw. So it's a 15-inch blade on this chop saw, specifically meant to cut 6x6s. And we thought this chop saw wasn't gonna be accurate. We thought it was gonna be kind of bad.
Yeah.
But it ended up being good. Like, it was pretty good.
It surprised me for sure.
And the worst part is we cut one of the legs too short.
Oh yeah.
Right off the
in
bat.
half, dude. Just.
And we were out of Purpleheart and we were out of zebrawood, and we cut one of the legs too short. And the way we figured that out is we had all the legs lined up and we cut it, we put it up there, and it looked really short.
Yeah.
And so when we measured it, we were like, oh shit. To fix that, we ended up putting 2 dominoes in the piece and gluing it all up and just clamping it tight.
Yep.
And it worked fine. Oh, this is it right here.
This is the cut, everyone.
This is
about. Oh, fucked up. Look at that. Oh
God.
Oh, what are we gonna do?
So the excess piece that we cut off, we ended up cutting to the size that would make the leg overall the right size.
Yep.
And for the rest of the base, we used 2x4s for the top.
Yeah.
And we used 2x4 Purpleheart, and we connected the 4 legs with basically a skirt. So instead of putting a skirt around the whole table, each base had its own skirt that was more or less just holding the base sturdy and giving us a solid connection point for the tabletop. And we're modern industrial, so we weren't gonna add like crazy designs to it, but in order to the legs look better, right?
More dimension, you know.
Yeah, give it more dimension. We gave it a chamfer.
Yeah. All but one side, because one side fit in.
Yeah, the inside corner, we didn't want a chamfer.
Yep.
We wanted it to be seamless with the skirt that we had going around it.
Yep.
So yeah, the skirt we actually made line up with one of the strips of Purpleheart, so that way it looked fluid.
Yep.
I jumped on the router because Tyler spent
Days.
with the RO on grinder mode, and I think we had some 60 and then mostly 80.
Yep.
Right, Tyler spent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
8, yeah, that was after. I'm still not
6.
done. Yeah, there's
6 days,
6 days
on the Rotex 150 with 60 and 80 grit, just to get the top work down, so there'd be no more seams and no more pits.
no, like, it wasn't finished sanding. It was
just
tough.
rough sanding.
Yeah.
Right. And what's interesting about Purpleheart, you can see where he was sanding, and every day the color would change on Purpleheart because as it's exposed to moisture,
which in this shop it's exposed to moisture.
Right. In this shop, every night and every morning there'd be the humidity that set in and then the dew that sets in. And out here in the country, the dew sets in tough.
It basically rains every morning.
Right. There's a whole cloud that goes up 20 foot. So from the ground, 20 foot high, it's all mist.
Yep.
This cement slab had no vapor barrier.
No vapor barrier on the cement slab. Also, the corner is basically underwater.
But while he was sanding that, I was assembling the base. And so to connect all these pieces, because Tyler and I are not the type of woodworkers that do joinery. We're the type of woodworkers that glue and screw.
Yep.
But in this case, we also had a domino, which would help line things up perfectly.
It's the glue and screw of joinery.
Right. Right. And here's the funny part. Tyler's sanding. I put this in and I go, huh.
How am I gonna do this?
Yeah, like I'm like, hey Tyler.
Peeking over the top. Hey, can
Look,
you?
And look at how short our shop is right there.
His head's on the roof right now.
Right. So for the base, it actually took 3 sessions of glue ups. It took the first assembling each half. The whole base is split into 2 bases, and I glued up half of each base at a time. So that's going to be 2 legs with the zebrawood and the Purpleheart joining them together, right? And this was key because you really couldn't do the whole thing at once.
Right.
So we glued up all 4 pieces like that, and then we took those big legs and stacked them on top of each other. Yep. Again, clamping them. And then after the Purpleheart 2x4s were glued in, that's when we brought the shelf in. And so we also added screws to this, right?
Yep. Ones where you couldn't see them, you know, like it's not that we really doubted the glue or the domino. It just didn't have any hold down power for after we let the clamps off.
So each joint had Tight Bond 3, had a domino in it,
yep.
and it had a 3-inch number 8 coated screw.
Yep.
And you want to use coated materials when you're using any hardwood because they will rust and ruin your piece over time.
Yep.
One of the biggest failures of any wood product is when you use uncoated metal
yep.
in the build. Or if you use stainless, it doesn't need to be coated. But if it's mild steel, it has to be coated. And the best thing for that is deck screws. Most
yeah.
of the time they come coated, they're strong enough, and they work great.
Yeah, we use them a lot.
Add the electricity and not have it look bad, right? We decided we were gonna route out a part in the leg and have an outlet that starts at the bottom of one of the bases. I was using that little DeWalt router, just spitting it in my face. Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Love it.
Ah.
Eat it. Breathe it in, boys.
Breathe it in, boys. We highly recommend you wear a mask when you're doing stuff like this, even though we're not doing it.
He's not even wearing glasses right now. He's Peruvian squinting.
I'm giving the old Peruvian squint. Yeah, that's actually a professional.
Yeah, it's a professional term.
Professional term.
Yeah.
You give it the old.
Yeah, this router is trash.
Right, any of the mini routers are trash. We
Yeah.
tried the Milwaukee one, the Walt one. One of the things we wanted to make sure with this table, regardless of how pretty or whatever it was, is we wanted to make it super functional.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't want the base to make it impossible to put stuff underneath it.
Yeah.
We wanted to make the base functional, so we put those shelves. They can store lots of stuff under there.
It's a work table. It's
Right.
not a dining room table. They're going to use it to work on, so they need exactly what we put in it.
Right.
And to be clean and out of the way like that, you know, like you can't have wires hanging
No.
everywhere.
Definitely not. So it took 5 passes with the joiner to get that wire in there. And one of the things I did is with a little joiner like this, I lined up the straight edge 2 inches away from where I wanted to cut. And it cut pretty good. One of the mistakes I made was running the joiner all the way through the bottom rather than just to that line.
Yeah.
So I had to glue up a longer piece in there just to make sure that it didn't look bad.
Yeah.
But it actually came out clean. You can't even see where. And so at this stage, we have the top completed and we have the bases put together.
Yeah.
And Tyler did all the RO work, but there's still a tremendous amount of sanding
Like
to do.
triple the sanding to do.
Right,
Yeah.
the fine sanding takes way longer because number one, the Rotex is a workhorse.
Yeah.
You know, and any other sander compared to the Rotex that we've tried so far,
Electric.
any electric sander does not compete with the Rotex.
Yeah, right.
It's on a whole new class. I think I spent a day on each base only sanding.
Yeah.
So I started at 80 grit. No, we didn't even have that. I started at 100 grit. We had 100 grit and we had 180 grit.
Yeah.
Because we were doubting the strength of the casters, and it wasn't even just the casters. Each caster had 4 holes for screws. And one thing that is true is that when a screw goes into wood and it's just holding something there, it moves.
Yeah.
That made me think like, oh, the screws are gonna break out if they hit a rock or a bump with the caster. It's gonna rip that fucking caster out.
Yep.
And so Tyler cut out about 4-inch plate, and he made a little tab, right? So the 4-inch plate could connect the fold over in the zebrawood underneath. And what that would ensure is that none of the connections of the leg would be the failure point.
Yep.
Making these.
Well, You had to cut the raw stock, which is 4" by 3/16 flat bar. Drilled all of the holes.
So you had to drill that big hole because the trailer ball has a 3-inch shank on it. And one of the things we had to make sure of is that when the trailer ball would have enough travel to push past the caster. Once you have it in place where you want it, you actually want to be able to level a table like this. You want to keep it flat, level, and you also don't want it to slide if you're working on it. We got the idea of these trailer balls by making our own metal table. Tyler fabricated at least 1,000-pound metal table that we've been working off of for 2 years. And
this is it. You can see it right there.
Right. It's a 1/2-inch plate on the top, and then we have 2x4 box framing the whole thing with, I think, 3 supports.
Yeah.
Actually, 4 supports. There's the double in the middle. So this table can hold up who knows how much weight, really.
A lot.
It's basically an anvil.
Yeah.
And we got the idea from that. So we said, wow, this is going to be a 1,000-pound table. What adjustable feet can hold that weight?
Yep.
None of
already
them.
done.
Right.
Trailer balls.
Trailer balls can. One of the problems if you try to get regular adjustable feet is the second you bump into it, you just bent that whole thing and it breaks.
Never adjustable again.
Never adjustable again. So we use trailer balls and it works flawlessly.
Yep.
And at this point, I said, fuck, why don't we weld the caster to it too?
Yep.
So there you go. Tyler welded the stainless steel caster right to these metal plates, which one thing this is doing is ensuring that the caster, when it flexes, isn't flexing the screw in the wood.
Yep.
Right? It's only flexing on the joint of the caster. And then we also added a lot of extra screw holes into that plate.
Yeah.
So these were the plates, and after this point, we were confident that both the caster and the trailer ball would be stable and strong enough, and they wouldn't move too much.
Yeah. For sure.
We ended up painting these because another thing, when you're using mild steel, just like with the screws, you need to coat them with something so that the acids or whatever chemicals are present in the wood doesn't start to rust out the metal. Because as soon as the metal starts to rust, all that tightness is starting to become loose.
Yeah.
Rust is not as strong as metal, so the way we got the top from the clamps to there is we didn't actually lift it all by ourselves. We double teamed on one side, and because of its length, we were able to get one side all the way to the table saw while the clamps were still holding it up.
And we got to the other side and just pushed it across.
And the reason we did this at this point is so we could line up the bases and know where the electrical wire was going to run through the bottom of the tabletop. Oh, I'm wearing a mask.
Look at that.
Look at that. Look how dusty that shit is.
10th day of Purpleheart. Finally wears a mask. Look at that.
Woo! Oh, yeah. That's me plunging it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, fuck it.
Get in there.
So, looking back at this, one thing when you're plunging, and I found this out on the bigger router just recently, is while you're plunging, move it back and forth because the bits don't really cut well going straight down, but they cut well when you're going back and forth. So that's just something to keep in mind if you're ever doing something like this. Oh,
Adjust the whole thing because he's maxed it out. Dang it.
No, that's the bit dropping again. Look.
Oh, the bit dropped. Wow.
So just like the leg, we stuff the wire in. Oh, I use CA glue on this one.
Nice.
Yeah, I wanted to be quick for some reason.
You said not messing around, dude.
And it dried pretty quick. because some of it dried a little high before I could slam it in, and it was in there. So then we sanded the bottom, and when we sanded the bottom of this table, we didn't sand it as good, but we still made it good. We still made it good enough that there wouldn't be scratches or anything.
Yeah, we got it to.
I think we 180'd it, but we just didn't. We didn't take all the pits out, and we didn't take all the flaws out.
Yeah.
When pieces are this big, it's really hard to apply a finish with just like a rag or something.
Yeah.
We highly recommend getting like a power buffer, just like this Bear. Shout out to Levi. It makes the whole process faster. And it still took me 10 minutes just to coat it with oil. Right.
Oh, the moving process.
Right, and so here's the thing. Now when you have a whole big top and we have 2 giant bases, right? We can't assemble this in our current shop.
Yep.
If we put the bases on when it was upside down on that table, we couldn't move it.
Nope.
That's it. So it had to go to our new shop, which at the time had a roof and I think like 2 of the walls or 3 of the walls or something.
We had We had 2/3 of the walls up.
Right.
We didn't have the top third.
And I don't even think we had vapor barrier yet because we didn't want it to blow away.
Right.
So what we did, since our truck was down, since our fuel pump is out.
You can see it in the shot right there, broke down.
Yep. And we also didn't have a trailer that would work for this. So we took an old lawn trailer and we threw 2 pieces of 8-foot walnut across and then slid the top onto that.
Yep.
And then strapped it to the trailer and hoped that the trailer didn't break on the way there.
Yep.
Then we used Old Reliable,
The old burb.
the old burb.
The key is here to leave the hatch up so you can make sure you can,
Right.
if it starts to mess up.
And when you turn, it didn't break the door.
Right, yeah, it would hit the corner of the
Right.
door. Classic, you know.
Yeah, this is a TNT classic right
Yeah.
here. Yeah, one thing people don't understand is we were also building our new shop at the time,
Yeah.
right?
There's so much shit in there right now. Then, you know, like we had all the metal work, we had all the car stuff, and we were moving in woodworking stuff at the same time.
as building the shop,
Right, at building the shop and this table.
right? And so now that we have those pieces over here, they're all sanded and they have a first coat of oil, but I got to put a second coat of oil on them, right? So that's what I'm doing here. Like before we actually put the pieces together, to make it a lot easier, I re-oiled the bottom,
Yep.
which once it's upside down, oiling it upside down is
Ain't happening.
no,
No.
not happening. You can see the wire sticking out where we ran the wire through.
Yep.
But here we're flipping it a lot better.
All right.
So
we dropped it on ourselves.
right, we'll just talk about it. So the first time that we brought it over and after I oiled the bottom and had all that done, we went to go flip it on our table saw. And this was kind of crazy, right? As we go to flip it, something slips on the back end and it goes down right on top of us.
Yep.
We actually got really lucky that neither one of us sustained
Yeah.
a big injury.
For sure.
And also, the table didn't break, you know? All right, and once we got it to the new shop, because we had space to work it and whatnot, the flipping wasn't terrible.
Yep.
So we got both bases up, and that's when the process of attaching the angle starts.
Yep.
One of the things we ran into is that the angle interfered with how close we put our wire, so
We had to drill another hole.
and stick the wire through.
Yeah. Old Leo boy.
Yeah. Old Leo boy, he came to say hi. And there you go. Once we had Tyler's cousin Tom help us get the table from upside down like this
Yep.
to right side up.
He's our drone pilot, by the way.
And then there she is.
Yeah, there it is. Plugged in, lit up,
One-
wired.
Right, 1 month of work, and we finally got her done.
But yeah, honestly, it was a fun. I wouldn't say easy.
Not easy.
Fun, character building job. You know, like I enjoyed doing it for the people we were doing it for. I enjoyed getting to utilize that much exotic hardwood in one project, and it was honestly probably one of the best jobs we've done.
Yeah, best tabletop
Just-
we've built.
Yeah, just overall project-wise, like it was fun. It was, you know, like
It was definitely rewarding when
yeah,
it got
definitely
done.
rewarding.
Me going into it, I knew it was going to be hard.
Yeah.
But one thing I was really excited for was that after doing a lot of research, I couldn't find a single table
Yep.
even close to this size.
Yeah, and that's extremely cool.
Extremely cool. It's a 12-foot by 52-inch, 2-inch thick tabletop, and each base was made out of 6x6s and only 8/4 zebra.
Yeah.
So I mean, overall, like being able to build something like this is something a lot of woodworkers kind of only dream of.
Right.
Pretty crazy table. It's really beautiful. We definitely won't forget this experience. I
No.
mean, I loved the experience. I loved building it with my friend, and I loved the fact that after we were done and we were looking at it, we pushed it for the first time on the rollers, and it was just silky
Yeah.
smooth.
Yeah. The first roll was really rewarding because
Yeah.
it blew me away with how smooth and light it felt on the wheels.
Overall, I'd rate this experience like it's 10 out of 10, and we finished it. We didn't get hurt. We didn't ruin the table.
Yeah.
And most importantly, Trey, Zoe, and the whole family over there at Triple L Rustic, they love the table.
Yep.
He sent me pictures of his family around it.
Yeah, just the appreciation alone of what they've given us is,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
The whole experience was really rewarding, and I hope that I'm very confident this table is going to last forever, but I hope they enjoy it forever for its whole longevity.
Even if they beat it to hell.
Even if they beat it to hell.
Good.
So this table is awesome, and that's it, man.
Yep.
Fuck yeah.
Yep.
Did good on that, man.
Yeah, that was good.